introduce Gary Hill. Gary has worked with a broad range of media, including sculpture, sound, video, installation, and performance since the early 1970s. His longtime work with intermedia continues to explore an array of issues ranging from the physicality of language, synesthesia and perceptual conundrums, to ontological space and viewer interactivity. Exhibitions of his work have been presented at museums and institutions worldwide, including France, Switzerland, Spain, Germany, Italy, England, and across the United States. He has received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Rockefeller and Guggenheim Foundations, and has been the recipient of numerous awards and honors, most notably the Leone d'Oro Prize for Sculpture at the Venice Biennale, and a John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation Fellowship Award, as well as honorary doctorates from the Academy of Fine Arts Poznań in Poland and Cornish College of Arts in Seattle, Washington. So, without further ado, please help me to welcome Gary Hill to the stage.
Thank you. Yes, thank you again. And thanks for coming. I need a little water to begin. I just noticed that these words were flying across the screen. I don't really know what they mean even, but anyway. So, I don't really plan these talks. I kind of go all over the place. And hold on a second. I knew I lost something there. So earlier, well, I guess yesterday, I was given a tour by Joseph through the glass department, and it got me thinking about my one residency in a glass studio called Pilchuck outside of Seattle. And they asked me if I would like to do that, and I said I would, as long as I didn't have to produce anything. I didn't want to have that pressure. And nevertheless, I ended up making, 4 or 5 works, which is a tremendous amount for me in the 3 weeks' time. Doesn't typically happen for me. It's 2 or 3 works in a year. So anyway, the first piece I made is called Elodia Piorm, which means absolutely nothing. It's a made-up word based on these forms that the glass blowers that were present made mistakes and broke them off their poles or sticks. I'm not sure what the terminology is, but in these bins, and I collected about 300 of them. In fact, in this one you can see in the foreground there is Elodia. And these were all named based on curvatures, sharpness, size, a number of parameters that shifted around. Certainly was not a scientific approach to linguistics and glass. But nevertheless, it brought up some interesting issues about language and naming things that I think comes out in later works of mine, besides for this one too. At one point I was going to show this in Italy, and I thought it would be interesting to for instance, have an Italian name the pieces and how absolutely different that they would be, besides for just being Italian. So one thing I found, that once some of these were named, and then I saw them, I couldn't really divorce the word from the item. it just became that abstract language. And what was interesting about this was that that was true more for some than for others. And then I had to wonder, why is that? There's got to be some kind of, I don't know, organic neuron synaptical connection or something, or it's just random. So this is an installation shot of that. It's around 300 pieces on a platform. This is at the James Harris Gallery in Seattle. And just to show you a few more. So following this, and I did get some lightweight bad vibes from glassblowers for using their throwaways. I don't know why. I mean, they were throwing them away. So it's found glass, you know. So then the next work I made was this one. These are about not quite 3 feet long, but that gives you some idea of the scale. And I made 3 or 4 of the Fat Man. This one, so that I could make it work dropping one off a 3-story building and recording it in, what is it? Well, I don't know, 750 frames per second, or something like this. This is what it looks like. It's a installation called Pacifier. And the title, well, it's a play on words of like a pacifier that looks like bomb in a certain way that a child pacifies themselves with, and just peace, pacifier. So you have 2 vertical screens and a horizontal screen, and those images were shot with 2 cameras at the same time at a high speed. So this is a close-up of the bomb being pulverized. It's an anti-bomb piece, I guess you could say. And here is a little excerpt of this. That sound is a shepherd's tone, which is an auditory illusion that either ascends or descends, kind of like a barber pole. It sounds like it is, but it's infinite, and it just keeps going down or up. It takes a while. It's worth the wait. It's really kind of amazing how the glass just almost melts rather than shatters it so much. So anyway, that goes on for a while. The next piece I made was this Klein bottle with the image of its own making after Robert Morris. Robert Morris made a work, which I'll show you a still of, called A Box with the Sound of Its Own Making in, I believe, 1968, I think, in which he has the sound of him cutting wood, hammering wood, and It's recorded on a cassette, which is put inside a small, I would say, 1 foot cube box. So the idea here was to record the making of this Klein bottle, and then it's projected up through the pedestal, and the bottom of the Klein form has been sandblasted, so it can be projected on. And you can most definitely make out what's going on most of the time, even though these stills look somewhat abstract. It's about 28 inches high, maybe. Different. Here, you can see it moving. It's a terrible recording, so you won't be able to make out any details, but trust me. So, and here is Robert Morris's, the sound, box with the sound of its own making. Oops. And so this work was the last glass piece I did there, and refers back to an older work from 1990, which I'll show you also, because they're kind of like bookends. So this is the glass work. So those are simulations of 16 CRTs from a ½ inch to maybe 23 inches, which pretty accurately mimics this work in as much as it is always already taking place, as opposed to in as much as it has already taken place. So it's somewhat, I suppose, commenting on the kind of end of video. So it's in a kind of an excavation, like as if the crypt has been taken out of the wall and placed on these wooden supports. Now this work is curious because it doesn't really show up, of course, in a still, but to make this, it kind of looks like a still actually, but once you are there with it for just a short while, you'll see that all the images are moving it's almost like a polyrhythmic feeling. And they are recorded by, this is a technical description that's necessary. So they are all looped, but typically when we think of loops, we think of an image starting at A, going to B, and it jumps back to A over and over again. In this case, I had an image on my body, and the same image is going through a frame buffer where I have the ability to take a still, and then that is mixed with the live image. This is only for me in the making of it. And as soon as I grab the still and my body moves away from that still, then I spend whatever time it takes to move myself back into that space. Keep in mind that's a 3-dimensional space, so it's kind of difficult, which adds to the kind of the rhythm of the movements. They are also, each image is actual size in the sense of, like, say my forehead is it's on a 4-inch, 5-inch monitor, my hand is similar, my finger, a 1-inch monitor, etc., all the way to my back, which is the largest monitor. I would imagine that this work could have been done before many of you were born. Is that possible? something I thought about. So this gives you an idea of the scale with a person. So these are fairly accurate in terms of simulating the original, and the layout is pretty much, I can't really say exactly the same, but close enough. And this is the back. So this actual size notion first came to me in the absolute first video installation I ever made called Hole in the Wall. And this consisted of a camera zooming into a wall and framing an area that if I put my hand in there, it would be approximately actual size. And then going sort of through media, measuring with a pencil and cutting out through sheetrock, insulation, plywood, etc., all the way through. And then that is all recorded on a monitor, which is then placed in the hole and played back. So you have these are just stills that you would, but it's a moving image, of course. And it looks like that. So that's 74, so I'm gonna go back up 35 years or something. This is a piece called Choir Box. This is just an installation view. It's a 3-channel work. It uses like kind of large remote control cars that I mounted a camera on. And there's a kind of windy sound to the whining sound to the motors. And for some reason, I started thinking about a choir mixed with this sound. So I kind of edited this choir sound to the rhythm of the movement of these cars. And they are projected fully from the floor to the ceiling. I have an image here somewhere. Here it is. I kind of like the way that one in particular is kind of abruptly silenced. So this is a work called Guilt. This was originally shown in the Cartier Foundation in Paris. This is actually an image from the Barbara Gladstone Gallery in New York, somewhat of a smaller scale place, but the size of the pyramids are the same. So the idea here was the guilt, meaning a kind of play on gold and actually feeling guilty in relationship to, doing something in a world that is kind of falling apart. But remember, this is in 2006. It hasn't changed much, has it? So basically, it involved kind of beating myself up and making stills from these, which then were used to make 2-ounce gold coins. And these rotate on these cylinders, and you look at them from a distance through these telescopes. And where you stand, there's an ultrasonic speaker that you can only hear when you're standing at the eyepiece of the telescope. And the coins look kind of, it has that certain kind of slight distortion from the lens glass, and because the coins are moving so slowly, they glint from the light that is reflecting on them. These are just some installation views. Now this is at the Cartier, so you can see it's a much larger space. And these are close-ups of the individual coins, and they have on them, like coins do, some Latin phrases. I'm not sure I'll remember all of them, but I think this is become someone else and proceed accordingly. And these are, like I said, they're images of me beating myself up. I'm not sure what this one is. If anyone is a Latin expertise, feel free. This one is the expression of one is the exclusion of the other. A guilty act, guilty mind. This is time on our hands is blood on our hands. And this is on the back of all of them. It is a vile corpus body, something like this. A stone's throw away from a whirlpool of errors. And this is actually my ass being whipped with a laurel branch, the one that Lady Liberty carries. And there was nobody around, so I had to do this myself. This is the text, which kind of implicates anyone in the room. I mean, it only implicates you because you're only hearing it on this ultrasonic speaker, but the content of the text very much implicates anyone that would be out there looking at art for the same reason I implicated myself, feeling guilty that what am I doing about the world.
What's this?
Here's what it sounds like.
Do you know what this is? Not getting it. I don't get it. Am I supposed to get it? Help me out. What's it for? Who? Is it for me? Does it make a difference? A difference that makes a difference? Does it relate to something? Are you related to anything? What do I get? Do I get something from this? Show me. Show me what it's about. Give me something I can sink my teeth into. I need to chew or I get nervous. I see no connections, no currency, no value whatsoever at all. You need to suffer. You need to wake up next to death, gasping for air that's not there. All I see is surface noise. I know you've got a little nag that gnaws and grows. Random reasons don't help a fucking thing. Push comes to shove, you're a selfish fucking prick. Anybody in this game is no different. It's all consummation of the fires of illusion. You're gonna have to learn the hard way. You want to play with images? Here. What do you see? You see nothing. You're a blind white. Fucker of all fucks bar none. Well, what do you think about it so far? You've been waiting for it without knowing it. Like you always say, this is it. Damn fucking right this is it. Get it? Take your head out of your ass and look around. Go on, check it out. Do what you have to do to convince yourself that this is it. No one's going to tell you otherwise. It's all up to you here and now. You can eat, drink, smoke, watch that fucking box crawl, read or write. Go for a ride, fuck your brains out, or just plain think. But you're here with it, displaying all your variability and all your possibilities and messages you've collected along the way. On or off the beaten track, it all leads back to here before branching out, and once again you can point, choose, have, love, suffocate, hate, like, be counted, talk, scream, kick, shit, vomit, eat, drink, and be merry, talk about death, art, politics, flesh and blood, machines, and don't forget money. Sure you know what I'm talking about. You've heard it before, you've read it before, but never allowed me to hear it with it, and I stole it. It was here for the taking, wasn't it? Everybody gets it sooner or later. This is it. You've had your little talk in every other room. Now it's my turn. Now it's your turn. And now mine. Time to turn the record over. Statistics. You got statistics? You want statistics? Stats? Data? Something to rifle through? Something you can get your head around? Something to make sense out of it all? Numbers? Disfigurements? Tortures? decapitations, collateral damage, disappearances, human slaves, human shields, numbed bodies, numbed minds, bloody cherished documents, laws, memos, acts gone awry, crimes against humanity, nasty roadside attractions, emaciated, bloated beings, terminations, secret cells, bunker busters, warheads, warlords, genocide machines, treasury notes afloat, poppy fields, tonnage, the distinct extinction possibility. What do you want? Victims, witnesses, perpetrators, names, places, times, names, places, times, names, places, times. Are we there yet? Peak oil, it all, that's history. We're at peak time. This is the time. Time is rolling over for the come what mays. It's May Day. Fucking May Day. Close the hatch. We're going down. The walls are melting up and the sky doesn't give a rat's ass. Take a side. Stand the fucker down. You're either with us or a tourist. Sound familiar? Do you like familiarity? Do you like your home? Do you like your children? Do you like your bed? Tell me something. Do you like your mind? Does it feel right? Does it feel like a right mind? Maybe it's really getting ready to rock. Maybe you're gonna play dead when the donuts finally roll. No turning back now. Better lay down. Lay it down low. Get down, way, way down. You want them dead, don't you? All of them. Vaporized. You want them gone. Take your best shot. Watch it. Live it. Beat it. One golden esoteric round enters the smirking mouth, finds its way through the veritable rot of tissue, shattering the skull every which way, switching sides, exiting one eye and entering the other, ricocheting through the labyrinth to the left ear, finding its spent self on a grassy knoll. Mission accompli. No, too quick, too easy. You want to make it last, wallow in the mire a bit. Maybe you want to fuck him in the ass with a baseball bat. Maybe you want to grind its testicular parts to paste and rub its face through the so-called manhood. I get it. Torture is a tool for the greater good. He's on the world's back and you want him off. Him and his minions. The wannabes and the has-beens. All the players and their reserves. The PTBs and the PPT. A fucking pipe dream. A pipe bomb away. Bombs away. All the way. All around. All fucking out. Out of the bounds of imagination. Gotta dream. Dream on. Give us a drum roll. Get bare on. Back up the truck for God's sake. Fuck God. Fuck gods. Fuck them all. Turn the page over and take your turn. Now it's my turn. Now it's your turn. It's time to turn the record over.
So I didn't really intend to play that 4 minutes, but I don't know, it seemed to apply to now quite a bit. This was written during the Iraq period with Bush as president, and many things going on, but it somehow feels like similar things are happening now. So I let it play. So yeah, do you feel implicated? Anyway, on the other side of the Cartier was another piece. These were sort of thought of together. This is called frustrum. And what that sort of dark area there is a low-profile pool of petrol oil. It's actually a special concoction of that so that it wouldn't smell quite like that much oil would smell in a space. Otherwise, everyone would have, well, gotten very sick. So it has a little bit of a smell, and it doesn't make you feel very good anyway. So in the background there is a computer-generated eagle trapped in a pylon, and it's kind of struggling to get out, I guess. I mean, it's just an animated eagle. and it's whipping at the electrical wires. This is an image of me making a kind of an image for the person that I hired to do the 3D animation. So the actual movement is a little bit human-like, but not, I mean, it's subtle, but anyway. See if I have, oh, there you go. So when the eagle's wings actually dip below the bottom of the screen, there are little pumps underneath the oil, so it looks as if the wings are making little ripples of oil that drift out and lap upon a bar of gold bullion that's in the middle of the oil. You can see it. So this sound uncannily sounds like arcing electricity, but it's actually the sound of a bullwhip. I found on the internet a master, actually a international winner of using 2 small bullwhips and getting the most cracks in the period of 1 minute, hundreds. When a bullwhip cracks like that, it's theoretically breaking the sound barrier. That's why you hear that. But anyway, that was edited to the image that you were looking at to synchronize with the hitting of the wires by the eagle. So this is an image of the making of the gold. We have someone leaving goodbye. Too bad, they could have gotten a sample here. So this is the pouring of this gold bullion, and on this gold that's in the middle of the oil is this phrase, "For everything which is visible is a copy of that which is hidden." I didn't pay for this, mind you. The Cartier did. And 2 days before the exhibition was to end, it was stolen. Armed robbery at the Cartier Foundation. And the other, it wasn't really a work, it was like an experiment. I made a glass cast of the same mold that was used for the gold. I happened to have made 2 glass pieces. Instead of gold, it was glass, right? And so after this, way later, in just a year or 2 ago, I made this work, which is technically speaking dare I say it, NFT. But it's really a hybrid NFT. So the video of it, I suppose, is an NFT. And on the side of this piece of glass is the blockchain numbers. So what happens here is this video plays, which kind of shows you well, I'm going to play it for you, but shows you the making of the gold and this phrase and the gold block, which gets projected exactly on this glass. So it looks as if the gold has come back, but only for about 5 seconds. And it's called CC, meaning carbon copy. So when this happened, there was an article in the Reuters News, which they explained what happened, the installation artist, and how much the gold was worth, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the video has that voice. I think it's actually a computer or AI voice or something.
Access stolen 12 kilograms, 26 pounds, modern gold from an art installation by a U.S. artist in Paris. The Gracia Cartier Center said on Friday. The bar, which was placed in a large basin filled with black oil in the yard work by Gary L., was stolen overnight from inscribed with the words for everything which is visible as a copy of that which is hidden was part of an installation featuring video projection of a giant eagle locked inside a pylon. The bird's image was reflected on the surface.
So, you know, they never found the gold, obviously. It's very liquid. So this is a more recent work. It's called Language Pit. The first part of the text that you'll hear was written in 2016. The evening, I was in Lisbon, and it was the evening that Donald Trump became President of the United States. And I was beside myself, so I wrote this. And then later I added to it, but keeping it kind of in the same vein. Anyway, these two speakers in the foreground, they have two tiny cameras that are about the size of your fingernail, and they're attached to loose wires looking somewhat like little snakes. And as I speak, the speaker bounces the cameras around, and that's what you see on the two displays there. It's quite abstract. It's not really meant to tell you anything as an image. It's more to tell you something about the text. What is it? Another image, different place. And this next image, this is when I was still working on it, but you can hear a lot of the text in this.
These are suspect. Pronouns are suspects. Got your PGP straight? Come on. Come on. Stop the double talk. Double or nothing. Up the ante. I'm out. Move the goalposts. The probabilities of uncertainties. What's your cost analysis? Has this ever happened before? Time to go downtown before we fall. A compromised quagmire. Puppets of resistance. Drain the swamps. Lance the foils. Inoculate anything that moves. What difference does it make? Z can come. V can come. You can come. They can come. Air can come. Come one. Come some. Come all. Welcome. What's it going to be? Heroes or zeros? Nuns or ones? All is well that ends well. Bed down with dogs. Wake up with fleas. Who gets the kick? Who gets the kick? Who gets the kick? And who just shit? Pull the rug, pull the plug.
Okay, I'll do that. So this is another excerpt showing it more in the context of the displays and actually a whole installation of other works
Move
too.
the goalposts. The probabilities of uncertainty. What's your cost analysis? Has this ever happened before? Time to go downtown before we fall. A compromised quagmire. Puppets of resistance. Drain the swamps. Lance the foils. Inoculate anything that
You can hear pacifier in the background. So this is a project I've been working on for a couple of years, and it's kind of just an open-ended work or works that engenders itself through gender. So this is one of the first ones I made. This is the words which I look at as the extreme ends of a spectrum, or a rainbow if you like. So this is she and he that are combined through Boolean logic, and in this case, it's an exclusive OR gate. An exclusive OR gate says wherever one or the other is will be true, but only where one or the other, but not both. So if you can kind of get into that, that's an exclusive OR gate. So many of these I put through 5 different notions of these gates. The exclusive OR gate, an AND gate, which says only where both are. An OR gate is where either one is. And then I did he minus she and she minus he. So this is they and she and they and he. And again, it's using the 5 different gates to reveal different notions of gender. So this is both the she and they is at the top and he and they at the bottom. So this is, I believe, they minus he at the bottom and they minus she at the top. This is an OR gate for both. Notice how the they and he is almost identical to they, but the he is just slightly bigger. So. This is again an exclusive OR gate for both of those. So this is I've done also a number of kind of extruded sculptures. They're not really extruded. They're cut layers with a router, computer controlled router, and then stacked to be about 7 inches high. This is using the French words il and elle, which would be much like he and she. And again, showing you different Boolean logic results. That there is an exclusive OR gate also of she and he. Yeah. It's OR gate. That's minus. So, and here's an installation view in the background. These are a little different than the first she, he I showed you. These would be more like liminal gates because as you look at them, your eyes could make them almost any gate in a certain way, depending. Similar exhibition, but different place. And also in the foreground here is per and z. Some of these pronouns you may not be familiar with, but anyway, they exist. That is on the background, back wall there is per and z for the 5 permutations, gates. And that work, video work in the background is called None of the Above. And on the pedestal in the foreground is sculpture of the 5 variations of they and he. So I'm going to play this for you.
Nonetheless,
This was actually shot vertically, but I oriented so you could see it here. So it's normally quite large.
Every breath, one breathe, always the same, zero, giving points, vanishing, one time, the
It's probably enough for now. So probably 3 or 4 minutes more. This is a relatively recent work also. This has been shown in various ways, but the best way is you walk into something that would be akin to a narration booth. In fact, this title is the model name of a narration booth I have myself, and it's called the Whisper Room. So you would walk in there, and the sound, of course, becomes very dry and resonant-free space. And what faces you there is a small monitor, like this image, that is on a mic stand. So in some ways, you're kind of requested to speak, but while you're spoken to. So you walk in and there's a pair of headphones that you don, and then there's a button that you push to ensure that the video work that you see starts from the beginning. So keep all that in your mind and listen.
Sometimes, as we approach, others approaching, an imaginary point coalesces before us. Our past trajectories, all the protagonists, all of a sudden, amongst us. Resurrected, as it were, our whereabouts. The involuntary inventory begins. Sampled earth, unknown holes, literal things too numerous to name, reminiscent of ancient signs, too sober to absorb the slow torque of bonsai, the warmth of what once was, just enough, fades away, alone in the light. Abandoned wood avails itself. I brought you here for reasons I can't disclose. I've worked long hours for this. There is no particular agenda in mind. Nothing here will make or break anything. You, them, or I, each and every one, like tormented insects. By the end, it will not matter, or you will have forgotten the differences once sworn by. I hesitated before deciding not to be present. No doubt a compromise. I apologize. Do you remember? stolen details, shared memorabilia, human propaganda, the fact that you are here. Has that dawned on you? But don't go. I wish there were a way for you to smell my belly for the first time, all over again. I could stand before you, peer down at the crown of your head. We could have gone to see a film, committed to the tedium of plagiarized time, enabling our being together within our separate thoughts. Would it suffice?
So this is almost 45 years ago, and I always like to show this because it brings it all back home.
I'm sure it could have gone another way, a completely different way, a way that hasn't ever come to mind, but that's a given. One can never observe all the possibilities and still go on to the next. Sometimes one just exits and enters again. I think I can agree with myself that it's not a matter of choice. You might think that agreeing is a kind of choice, even a blatant choice, but that's not all you're interested in either. There's another determining factor, and that's what we have to concentrate on. At least I do. I agree, it's easy to get sidetracked. It's not even that there's a lot going on. We're just busy. I mean, it's not complicated. You can go on, I can go on. We can assume there's something happening or not something happening. I don't know. Perhaps it's unfair to go on. Maybe we should take our minds off it, think about something else. Maybe it's not worth thinking about at all, but that leads to other things just as problematic. Maybe it should be more complicated. We're looking at it too simply. Look, we don't have to consider all the possibilities, but instead really complicate one, if that's what you want to do. I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. I came unprepared. I'm not ready to be complex. I don't think that's the answer, though. I don't think it's an answer we're looking for. In certain ways, that's probably obvious by now, even knowing that you're a little uneasy with it, and I am too. But I think it's a way I can work with now, and maybe you can, and maybe you can't. I mean, I'm thinking about that. There's time involved here, and it's yours as much as mine. I certainly don't want to threaten your time or make you feel you have to be decisive, yet I want you to be here. I mean, I assume you are here, but I don't want to back you into a corner, and by the same token, I don't want to start from that corner. That's a particular relationship I would like to put aside for now. I know this isn't free of bullshit. I mean, I'm coming from somewhat of a self-conscious place. It's a kind of stacking. I mean, the ideas just pile up but aren't interwoven. They're not connected or disconnected. It's a thought at least. I can see it. Disembodied ideas being thrown against a wall. But that isn't fair. That isn't fair for me or you. That really kind of loads things down, and that's not my intention. I can assure you of that. I want you to be with me. I mean, you don't have to listen. Just hear me out. I don't want you to be involved in deciphering anything, but then that's your prerogative, and I don't want to get in your way. There's something that can be said for that, and I hear you, but I don't want to listen to it. I realize it's easy for one to say that I'm being ambiguous, but I don't think so. I mean, if you want to leave, you can do that, or you can just turn off. I'm not trying to say I'm indifferent. I just think there's a way here. Maybe you really do hear me, and I'm going on and on, but we have to continue for some time. I mean, I think that's part of it. It would be easy to stop at this point. It would just be interesting and over and possibly boring, but that isn't even the issue. It's important that we go on. This is the way I think it has to be right now. If it wasn't this, it would be that, and there's still this area we have to get through so that the this and the that won't become significant to this. I mean, what I am talking about isn't important in that way that importance draws attention. You might even think this is a game of some sort, but really, you've tried ways that were adjacent to this one, consequences. You may even have heard this before in so many words, but I want to go on. I'm not interested in this kind of talking. It has its purpose, but it can get very sticky. I would rather settle with you, some way that's non-reversible, a way of being with you when it's the only way. When I arrived here, I had no way of knowing it would be this way. I thought about it a lot in the beginning. I tried different ways of thinking of you, what your response would be, and that has to be considered now too. I've never lost sight of that. I don't think there's been a loss of anything. It's just that I haven't been accumulating things for me or you. There's always time for a sense of urgency. I want to avoid that for now. I don't know though. Maybe you're waiting for that, waiting and listening.
So I could show you many things more, but I thought maybe if you want to